Hey YouTube, Rando here. We're going to be working on the Bushcraft knife a little bit more today, the homemade file knife. And you can see where we're at. I've got the orange mark all the way down it to show the, about how even we are. You can see this side's pretty low with the bevel, and this side's higher up, so we're going to have to bring it up a little more. And I want to go ahead and get all that done and get it shaped exactly where I want it before we start sanding on it. So I'm just taking a little file and running it like this down the blade, trying to stay even to not create any more flat spots. And you can see, if you look at the last video on this knife, there's a lot more flat spots up here, so we've been working those out, and then I got to get that one worked out and get it. I've got it cut as high as I want the bevel, and then I got to get the bevel straightened out, and we're going to do that with a sander probably. Probably do a little bit of light grinding on the top of it to get those marks out of it, the file marks. So again, just apply pressure when you go forward. You don't want to apply pressure when you're coming back on your file, because then you're just going to wear your file out. A file's only made to go in one direction. So you can clamp this to the table or however you feel comfortable doing it, and that way you can work the file with both hands, or I just hold the knife in one hand and file in another and go to filing on it. But you may not, feel comfortable doing that, or you can apply more pressure with both hands, so you can always clamp it to the table and just stick the blade off a little bit and work it like that, or you can work it directly on the table. You just can't get this down here if it's on the table. But we're going to be working on top of it today. Try to get these bevels even. See, I got a lot of flat spots on it, on this side especially. I haven't worked on this side yet, so that other side looked like this side, and now it's a little bit smoother. So we'll go ahead and work it down with the file, and once we get it there, we'll show you what we have before we start the sanding process. Okay, so I wanted to show you how we're doing this. Again, you just want to put pressure when you're going forward. If you're going to come back on it, let off pressure as you do it, like so. And we're just taking, running at the length, and then turning the blade just a little bit and hitting the next spot. Now if you wanted to do it fast, you could just make sure you're not applying pressure as you're bringing it back. You only apply pressure when you're going forward on it. And you can see we've got the bevel up a little bit, got it straightened out a little bit, and we've got most of the flat spots out of the blade. Got a little bit right there to work on. We've got this ground down a little bit more. This side needs a little bit more work on the flat spots, and we need to bring that bevel up just a bit. So we'll work on it, and to get your bevel, you just put it on there and do it continuously all the way up it. So we're going to go ahead and do this a little bit more, and then we're going to get to sanding on it, and I'll come back when we get there. Okay, so we're going to start on the sanding process, and starting out, I'm not using a belt sander. I'm going to use the grinder, and I just have a maybe, I don't know, 60 to 80 grit, something like that. It's not ceramic. It should be ceramic if you're making knives with it, but we're just going to try to get these surfaces right here as smooth as we can get them, and then we're going to try to smooth out that handle a little bit more. And you can see I worked on that handle quite a bit with the file, so it doesn't look bad. And all we're going to do is turn it on, and I'm going to drag it across here like this. So, real simple process. You don't want to do it hard, do it real soft, and just run it down at flat, so you're getting it as flat as possible and getting these file marks out of it. I'm going to leave the file marks in the top of it, I think, but we're going to have to take them out here. At least get them a lot lower than what they are. I just trying to clean it up now. We got the shape we want. We just need to clean it up now, and then we'll put it on a belt sander and go ahead and sand out the bevel a little bit and get it straighter. You can see I brought it up quite a bit on this side to right here, so that's about even with this side. We need to get these flat spots out and clean that up a little bit. So we're gonna get to working on this a little bit, and we'll come back and show you where we're at. Flat spots out of the beveled area. We got the top cleaned up quite a bit. We got the handle cleaned up. Now we're gonna do some more heavy sanding on a I think we're gonna try to use the band sander. I think we're gonna try to use the belt sander now and work on that blade a little bit more. Maybe take a little material off here and get this cleaned up a little more. You can tell there's still some pits in it that need to come out, but most of the markings are gone on it for the most part. The top, I went ahead and ground it a little bit and got it a little bit cleaner as well. So I'm going to come back with the belt sander and show you how we plan on doing that. Okay, so for the next part, we're just going to be using a belt sander, and we're just going to flip it upside down, turn it on, and then we'll be dragging the knife across like this on both sides, and we're just going to try to get those file marks out of it and get this cleaned up a little bit. You can tell what I did with the grinder is did quite a bit of the work itself, and I probably could have finished it off on the grinder, but I want to try to use the belt sander just to get it more uniform. You can see that handle's nice and clean. It needs a little bit of work done on it, but not much. The edges are pretty clean right there. It needs a little bit of work. And the tip of the blade, need to take off a little bit of material on this side to make it match that side, to bring it to a point. And it's not sharp at all. We don't want an edge on it until we're done, because we're going to heat treat this before we sharpen it. So all we're going to be doing is just dragging it across like so with the belt sander on, and just try to keep it as straight as possible. And if you want to work your bevel, start at the bottom and just keep it the same angle. Each time you go across it, you'll take out a little bit more material. And I was going to try to get this on camera, but one, it's going to be too loud, and two, I'm going to have to hold the belt sander. The best way to do this is to use a vise and actually put it in there like this and work on it. You know, if you have to turn it the other way to work off this side, the smaller side, that would probably be the best thing, but this rotates this way, so I'm going to have to use it this way. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to shave a little bit down on this, and I'm going to come back and show you what we have. And you can see that flat spot that was in it. It's still in it, just a little bit that we're going to have to work on. Not much. I shouldn't have to work on the bevel very much before heat treatment, because we're going to go ahead and finish off the bevel with a belt sander after we heat treat it. So I'm going to start working on this, and we'll be back and I'll show you where we're at. Alright, I just wanted to show you where we're at with it. This is the side that hasn't been done, and this is the side that has been done. Now you can see I got that handle right about where we want it. We're going to go ahead and leave it alone now, and we'll come back with a finer grit sandpaper and probably hand sand it a little bit. And little bit of work needs done on the blade up here. File marks are still there lightly, but compared to that, you can tell a big difference. Let's see if I can. So a little pits in there and heavy file marks. Look how much cleaner that side looks. So it still needs a little bit of work. We're going to go ahead and keep working on it. Actually, I was throwing sparks into my sander, and it actually started burning the plastic inside the sander, so I had to stop for a minute. And probably be a good idea to keep these wet, to keep the sparks down as much as possible. At least watch them real close, and if you start getting them down inside the plastic on the sander, you can see that sander there. It started getting sparks down in there, and it was smoking, and looked down in there, there was some embers down in there burning, so I had to kill it for a little bit, let it cool off. I don't want to wear it out. It's the only sander I have, so go ahead and let it cool off a little bit, and then we'll jump back on it. And I'm going to show you the finished product when we're done with what I'm going to call a very rough sand, but there's a good possibility it'll be the only machine sanding we do on this thing. Everything else will probably be done by hand with file and a little bit of sandpaper. So, but you can see how much cleaner it looks after you start sanding on it. It's actually starting to look a little bit like a knife and a little less like a file. So, and I haven't done anything on the sandpaper on this side, and you can see how rough it is and how smooth and clean it is. So it makes a huge difference. So once we get this thing where we want it, we'll come back and I'll show you the finished product before we start doing our fine sanding and filing on it. Okay, so we just about got it where we want it. You can see it's nice and flat, shaved up. I got the flat spots out of it for the most part. See how much smoother that is now. I got the top, I've got most of the file marks out of it, but I'm thinking if I can clean that up just a little bit more with a finer grit sandpaper, maybe I can leave the file marks in the blade how I originally wanted. You can see the other side still pretty clean, so I might be able to leave the file marks in it on top. I took them out on the handle almost all the way. We got a little bit down here to work on, but you can see how much straighter that blade is. This flat spot's all but worked out, and you know, a little bit more on it and it'll be all worked out. I'm going to get off in these crevices. I'm going to get that with a Dremel, do all the fine work and shaping with a small Dremel. I got a little bit of work on the handle to do. You see, got a little bit of a ridge in it we need to take out. I think I'm going to indent this just a little bit more right here. But as far as the rough grinding and the shape, we're done. You can see the bevel's a little bit messed up on the tip there. I need to bring it as high as this. And I think, see how this side's just a little bit higher? The bevel's about right here. I think I need to bring it up a little bit higher on this side. I got it right in back, but up front it kind of gets thinner. So now we're just going to get some more sandpaper, and we're going to do some fine sanding on it and get it where we want it with some sandpaper. And I'll probably do that by hand unless I end up doing some more bevel work on it. Then we'll use the sander. But I think for the most part I'm just going to take a really fine sandpaper and sand it down and get the file markings exactly where I want them, because there's still a little bit of pitting in there. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up or not, but just a little bit of pitting left in there that, you know, this was a used file. This file was probably used for 2 or 3 years off and on here and there, sitting out in the weather, getting rusty. So, and you can see I left the file marks on back, but I'm definitely going to have to clean those up with something. That looks bad right now, so I may end up grinding those out as well. And I'm thinking about different kind of handles, but seeing how this is just a Bushcraft knife, I think I'm just going to do a paracord handle on it. Let's see if we can get this in the shot. It ain't going to pick it up, but that blade is nice and straight. You know, there's not more material taken off one side than the other, it's just the bevel. See if you can catch that. The bevel right there is a little bit lower than the bevel on this side. But again, if I end up messing with that, we'll get a finer grit sandpaper, something a little, you know, something for touch-up work, and we'll hit it with that. I'm not going to hit it with the rough sandpaper anymore because I don't want to get any flat spots on it anywhere. You know, that handle's nice and straight. I did get a little bit of material out right here that I didn't want to take out, and a little bit right there you can see. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to take a Dremel and we're going to round off the edges, make them match. You can see it right there. There's just some material taken out that wasn't supposed to come out, so I am going to have to fix that up a little bit, but that's going to be under paracord anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. I just want to clean it up just in case I ever take the paracord off. It still looks good. So well, that's going to do it for this part of the series. I think next we're going to heat treat the knife before we go any further with it, and we may do a video on that if I end up doing it myself. But I'm going to either have to use my buddy's forge, or I'm going to have to just do it in a fire, and just doing it in a fire, I don't think I'm going to be able to get it hot enough. It needs to be brought up to a blood red color. You don't want it orange. You don't want it sparking. That means you're melting it. You're getting it too hot. You want it just like a deep blood red, and you just stick the magnet to it, and whenever it's just not magnetic anymore, it's not magnetized, then you go ahead and pull it out and stick it in some oil. If you're going to be using it for cooking, stick it in some cooking oil, some vegetable oil. If not, you can just use used motor oil. We're going to be using used motor oil on this one because I'm not going to waste no cooking oil, and I have a lot of used motor oil. So also right there, you can tell we need to do a little bit of work on this side. We need to trim that up just a little bit, not much. Bring it down as far as this one's down. You see it's just a little bit crooked. We're going to fix that up with a Dremel as well. So I think that's going to be it for this video, and we'll come back and we'll do another video on this exact knife. So it'll be the third. This is going to be, I guess, shaping and grinding or something. I thought it was going to be the finishing video, but this video is already running kind of long, and I don't want to make a 20-minute video. So as soon as we get to working on it again, we'll put up another video in this series. Thanks for watching, YouTube.